Things that I wish I knew before moving to Nigeria. This is kind of a spin-off of the Italian version, even though I don't know which one I'm gonna upload first. So in efforts to be fair, since I live between Italy and Nigeria, I have to do the same for Nigeria. What are the cons of Nigeria, the negatives of Nigeria that I wish I knew before?
Guys, I finally did it. I moved to Lagos. 3 months since I moved to Nigeria.
Hey guys, I've been living in Lagos, Nigeria for 30 days. And here are 5 reasons why I want to move back home.
Tell him I need him. Yeah. Tell him I love him. And it'll be alright.
1 month and 1 week ago, I quit my 6-figure job in the US. And as of 1 month ago, I left New York and I moved right to Lagos, Nigeria. With knowing not a single soul and by myself, I simply just had $1 and a dream and I said, I'm gonna make it work. And this is to everyone who's out there, come back home. Come back home. This is the promised land. This is the promised land. This is where we are from and this is where you'll succeed because this is what you were designed for.
As I made a disclaimer in the other video, these are gonna be the negative aspects. Of course, there are positive aspects of living in Nigeria, otherwise I wouldn't be living there, but this video is not that. So if you are easily offended, if you are easily upset, please click off because I don't have energy for you. Let me back up and tell you where I'm at. I've been splitting my time between Lagos and Milan, and I've been spending more and more time in Lagos. I stayed for about a month last October. I stayed for 2 weeks in December. Then I went back in February and I stayed for a month and I came back in March. So the last few trips have been a month at a time. My next trip in October will be 5 months. And I think because I did it in this way where I built a job for myself before moving and I really phased my move over the course of a year, my move has been almost perfect, has been extremely pain-free. All of the wahala that people complain about, I don't complain about it because I didn't experience it and I literally got everything that I wanted. I live in my dream neighborhood. I live in my dream house. I got everything for a great deal. I have a great group of friends. I have my job that sustains me. My situation in Lagos is my optimal situation. Of course, there are difficulties, clearly, but that's where I'm at. So you have to take everything I'm saying with a bit of a grain of salt in the sense that I've had a very soft landing into Lagos. And if you also want a soft landing, I do have resources to help you do that in the description box down below or on www.experiencecapo.com. But that being said, let's get right into the actual content of the video. My bad. The first thing that I wish I knew was that housing in Lagos is really scarce. And this is what I wish I knew when I got my house a year ago. Now it's even more scarce, and now it's even more expensive. It's actually a bit insane. There's a lot of speculation happening in the Lagos real estate market right now, and couple that with corruption, the general level of quality of things, and it's just a really messy situation. So I do wish I knew that was a situation just so that I could mentally prepare myself for what I was getting into. I thought that it was easy as seeing a house that you liked online that was in budget and getting it. But the reality is I started the hunt in May of last year and I signed my lease in mid-July. Something that we have to stop doing as a diaspora is we have to really adjust our thinking. So many people will look at houses in Lagos and be like, oh, that's $1,000 a month. And that's the completely wrong way to look at it. First of all, because they don't make dollars in Nigeria and things don't cost dollars. The fact is that minimum wage in Nigeria is $50 a month. And most Nigerian workers are making $250 a month, $500 a month if they're really doing well. So how on earth is an apartment going to cost $1,000 a month? That's the first thing that you need to get out of your head because it distorts the market and it also sets you up for failure. Another reason you have to stop thinking like that is because it's not $1,000 a month, it's $12,000 a year because rent is not paid monthly in Lagos but yearly. A lot of landlords these days are asking for 2 years of rent to rent a property. And in addition to the rent, you have to pay 10% agency and you have to pay 10% legal fee. And you also have to pay service charge. For an apartment that is like $1,000 a month, you could end up paying $30,000 to get into it for 2 years. And I don't know how many average Americans can afford that. And that doesn't seem cheap to me. So the first thing that I would say is that, yeah, Lagos housing is quite scarce and the real estate market is really overheating right now. And you have to be aware of that to approach it in the correct way. And that Lagos is not cheap at all. Not if you want to quasi-replicate the life that you live in the West, in Nigeria. If you want to do that, you'll pay almost the same. Another negative that I wish I knew beforehand, that I don't know why we don't just say this, is that electricity is a problem in Nigeria for everyone. I feel like before I went to Nigeria, I had in my mind that you just had to pay enough and you would get actually uninterrupted electricity, but that's not the case. It's not the case at all. I pay for 24-hour electricity and it is not. And I live in Victoria Island. So, I mean, my electricity goes off sometimes for hours. And the thing is, most people that I know find themselves in that situation. So, yeah, I said this one time in one of my past videos and I got this comment and they were like, it's not true that everywhere in Nigeria doesn't have consistent electricity. Some people do. And I answered them honestly. I said, honestly, some people are an exception. And by some people, you're meaning those rare people that have managed to live off of the grid because they made some parallel, like solar or some parallel system by themselves, and so they're able to live off the grid. But that is not the reality of 99.9% of everybody, and I don't see what we gain by lying or covering up the fact that Nigeria doesn't have electricity. It's embarrassing and it makes no sense. I think we need to say that out loud more. Nigerians are very prideful people, and I think that this is a very embarrassing thing, which is why we don't want to say it out loud, but we need to, because it's only when people are embarrassed that somebody's gonna have to fix it. Somebody's gonna have to fix it. If you are silent, that is how you get politicians that think that you can manage your hunger and you can deal with the things that you deal with, and they'll say that Nigerians are so resilient. Yeah, you guys are, but it's like the strongest black woman award. Do you really want it? I'm sure I'll get some flack for saying this out loud and putting Nigeria in a bad light, even though I said that this is a video about the cons. But I think it's important to say it out loud because guess what? Some people living off the grid and being able to have 24-hour electricity is not a flex. It is embarrassing. Every Nigerian, rich or poor, deserves to have uninterrupted electricity because it's a basic necessity in 2025. Another thing that I wish I knew before moving to Nigeria that is a kind of negative is that it's quite difficult to get money in and out of the country. I hear that they're changing this, but it's almost impossible to send money to Nigeria in the normal banking system. I cannot, from my normal bank account in Europe, just send money to my normal bank account in Nigeria without some sort of intermediary app. And it's basically impossible for my business account to send money from my business account in America to my business account in Nigeria. So that is something that you should know. Weirdly enough, Nigeria has such an advanced banking system. It's funny because when I'm in Italy, Italians are like, I have the best food in the world, without any doubt about that. They'll really rant about their food and how amazing it is and how everybody loves it. While Nigerians will really rant about how amazing their banking system is. And I will admit that it is quite amazing in the sense that it's quite easy to open a bank account. And once you do, I don't touch money in Nigeria. I think the only time I've ever touched cash was the first 2 times that I went there. Everything is instant payments in Nigeria. If I'm going to the market and I want to pay for something, give them my account number, or no, they give me their account number and I pay them instantly with 1 cent commission. It is pretty good, but that being said, it's only good within Nigeria. You can't send money out, you can't get money in, and it is complicated if you are an international person. Another thing that I wish I knew before moving to Nigeria is that Lagos is not walkable, like at all. This wasn't a huge culture shock for me because at the end of the day, I am coming from the US and it's pretty much the same. It's not really easy to walk around, and if you do walk around, people will think that you're either homeless or crazy. I had this situation happen the last time I went back to the US with my husband, and I was trying to like romanticize my hometown and show my husband my hometown, like walking around and giving him a tour. So we drove the car to the city center, parked the car, got out of the car. We walked not even 1 minute in one direction, and suddenly, mind you, I don't even live in America anymore. I hadn't lived in America for years at that point, and I just hear somebody yell, "Tia, is that you? Oh my God, do you need a ride?" It's like, no, we're walking on purpose. And in Lagos, it's similar. When I brought my husband to Lagos for the first time, he's such a European. He's, yeah, I want to walk. And so we went out and we did walk. And it was so unenjoyable because it was really hot. As I said, the infrastructure didn't really allow for walking. There weren't great sidewalks. The roads were huge. Had to run across the road just to cross it. And I was like, this is not it. I don't want to do this again. And there have been times where the thing is like supposedly right around the corner. Why would I call an Uber for this? Why would I drive to this? And so I walk, and then I'm walking and I just see cars passing, and I just know that they think I'm crazy. So that's something that is kind of a negative for me because I'm coming from Europe. Walking is really like baked into the lifestyle, and I like that because I like being fit. And so it is negative. I wish I knew that before. Would it have changed my decision in terms of moving? No, but maybe it would have helped me prepare more because I'm still trying to figure out my routine in Nigeria that will allow me to not become like sedentary. I don't want a sedentary lifestyle like the life that I see so many of my friends living in the US, for example, and like I see a lot of my friends live in Lagos. I need to go outside, I need to walk, and unfortunately, Lagos is not a walkable city. One negative, though, I guess it's not a negative anymore because I've become religious too, but initially it was a shock to go from a place Italy's not secular, and America's even less secular than Italy is, but Nigeria is just on a whole different wave when it comes to religion. Religion is in your face all the time, everywhere, whether it be Christianity or whether it be Islam, and it's really baked into just like the daily doings of everything. And if you're not religious, I can imagine that can be a bit difficult. So yeah, in the beginning, I said that the hardest thing, the most difficult thing that it was going to take for me to adjust to would be that. But I've since come back to my faith, and so now it's quite the opposite. Like now it's actually pretty easy to delve deeper into that because the whole environment is really like that. But that being said, I do think that the problem with religion, and I might be a bit controversial when I say this, is that a lot of people don't do it right. A lot of people say they're good Christians, a lot of people say they're good Muslims, but they're not really following the Bible and they're not really following the Quran. And so when you have a lot of people that aren't really good religious people, and the aspect of religion is allowed to be so excessive and allowed to be so extreme, then you have problems. So yeah, if everybody was really good Christians and good Muslims, you wouldn't even have issues. That is something that could be a negative that, yeah, I wish I knew before I moved to Nigeria. Those are all the things that I wish I knew before I moved to Nigeria that are more so on the negative side. I hope people didn't get too offended. I hope I'm not gonna get too dragged in the comments, but I do think it's important to, know the negatives too. Everybody will talk about the positives. The positive videos will go viral, but the negatives are just as important because you need to brace yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna get there, and moving to a new country, even if it's your old country, the culture shocks can be a lot, and to avoid disillusionment and not being able to make it, you have to be confronted with those negatives. And like I said, maybe one thing you can do is take it in doses, do it in phases. Maybe don't move to Nigeria all at once. Maybe spend a few weeks first, then spend a month, then spend a few months. And at all this time, make your infrastructure, make your network, make your foundation so that things are easier for you. So yeah, that being said, I think that's going to be it for this video. As always, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already and you're interested in hearing more about my international life, my international perspective. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know if I missed anything or if you have any comments, or if you want to find me online, it's engagement. Feel free to do that. That's going to be it. And as always, I will see you guys in my next one. Mwah.